Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm now presenting e-commerce evaluation of Chiribiquete National Park, the Moloch of the Jaguar in Colombia. The text of this evaluation can be found on page 36 of the document INF 8B1. Located in the northern western Colombia Amazon, Chiribiquete National Park is the largest protected zone in Colombia. The nominated property covers a surface area over 2.7 million hectares, to which the state party added in 2013 a buffer zone of almost 4 million hectares, giving the nominated property a total surface area of more than 6 million hectares. The natural environment of Chiribiquete National Park is typically Amazonian and extremely rich in terms of biodiversity. But one of the most significant characteristics of the nominated property, perhaps more than its fauna and flora, is the presence of the tepu, a word of indigenous American origin signifying mountain. Tepus are limestone tabletop mountains with vertical and sharply sloping faces, which dominate the Amazonian forest. At the foot of the tepus, there are more than 75,234 pictographs identified today on the walls of 60 rock shelters of different sizes, dating from 20,000 years BC to the present day. The rock art is of great artistic, technical, and cosmological value, and bears witness to the indigenous communities that have occupied the Amazon for a millennium. The rock art is interpreted as scenes of hunting, battle dances, and ceremony, all of which are linked to the cult of the jaguar, seen as a symbol of power and fertility. The practices are thought to reflect coherent systems of ancient sacred beliefs, forming the basis and explanations of relations between the cosmos, nature, and man. The property represents one of the rare cases in which nomadic indigenous communities still live there today, voluntarily isolated and without contact with the modern world, and make rock art rock paintings of petroglyphs reflecting ancient rituals with profound cosmological implications. In its evaluation, e-commerce considered that the comparative analysis justifies inscription of this property on the World Heritage List, that the nominated property meets criteria 3 and the conditions of integrity and authenticity. E-commerce considers that the boundaries of the nominated property and the buffer zone are adequate, and that the state of conservation of the property is satisfactory. The management system of the property is adequate, but the measures are necessary to consolidate and reinforce research and development of projects to enhance natural and cultural heritage in the buffer zone, as proposed in the management plan. So in conclusion, e-commerce recommend that Chiribiquete National Park be inscribed on the World Heritage List on the basis of criterion 3, and e-commerce also make additional recommendations as displayed. Thank you.
Thank you. IUCN, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. IUCN's evaluation of Chiribiquete National Park, the Moloch of the Jaguar, is on page 75 of the English version of the IUCN evaluation report and page 77 of the French version. Chiribiquete National Park, or CNP, is the largest national park in Colombia and very large by global standards at over 2.7 million hectares. CNP is located in the central Colombian Amazon, and its protection is reinforced by the establishment of an extensive buffer zone of almost 4 million hectares. Next slide. The presence of tepui is one of the most impressive defining features of CNP. Tepuis are tabletop mountains found only in the Guyanan Shield, notable for their striking relief and high levels of endemism. The tepuis found in CNP, while smaller when compared to others in the Guyana Shield, result nonetheless in dramatic scenery that is reinforced by their remoteness and inaccessibility. A particularly significant value of the property is its high degree of naturalness, which makes it one of the most important wilderness areas in the world. The fauna of CNP is particularly rich in terms of mammals, and the area is considered a key site for the conservation of healthy populations of charismatic and endangered species, including the jaguar, the pink dolphin, the lowland tapir, the brown woolly monkey, and the giant anteater. Despite the fact that limited scientific research has been undertaken in the nominated property, data available shows that over 2,900 species have been recorded. These include globally impressive levels of species richness for vascular plants, mammals, including high levels of bat species, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and butterflies. The number of species, including of endemic species, 21 reported, would most certainly rise as more scientific expeditions are undertaken in the future. The case made in the nomination for justifying the application of the Geological Criterion 8 is based on the argument that CNP has a noteworthy geological history. However, the geology and geomorphological processes occurring in CNP are similar to that existing in the whole Guyana Shield and in other locations, and thus considered to be of national significance in this context. The nominated property is exceptionally large, well preserved, and is in excellent condition, thus providing adequate refuge for many species and habitats. CNP is listed amongst the most irreplaceable protected areas in the world for the conservation of mammal, bird, and amphibian species, and is located in a unique biogeographical context where evolutionary processes have shaped the high floral and faunal diversity. Voluntarily isolated and uncontacted indigenous peoples live inside the nominated property. The cultural and ethnic integrity of local communities and their rights are protected under Colombia's constitution and related legislation. The buffer zone of the park is made up entirely by 22 indigenous reserves and the Amazon Forest Reserve. These indigenous reserves are under traditional ownership, which centers on protecting cultural and natural values and are similarly covered by Colombian law. The nominated property is owned and managed by the Ministry of the Environment through the Unidad Administrativa Especial del Sistema de Parques Nacionales, with conservation guided by a 2016-2020 management plan. Overall, the management of the property is well organized with good capacity for building and operations. Patrolling and protection activities are also actively supported by the Army, which has played a key role for many years in assisting with the location and eradication of illegal coca plantation inside the property and in a buffer zone. The funding supporting the management of the property results from a combination of financial and human resources provided by the state party and also supported by international projects. IUCN notes that additional financial resources will be needed to cope with future management challenges, for example, linked to tourism development. In summary, IUCN recommends the World Heritage Committee inscribes Chiribiquete National Park, the Maloca of the Jaguar, on the World Heritage List under Natural Criteria 9 and 10, in light of its remarkable levels of biodiversity and ecosystems integrity and the effective protection regime which is in place. The draft decision is set out on page 12 of both the English and French versions of Working Document 8B. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Norway? Norway, you have the floor. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Norway applauds the State Party of Colombia with its stimulating nomination, fulfilling a combination of natural and cultural criteria. The State Party has been rigorous in its efforts to protect biodiversity and its invaluable forests, even through the critical stages of the country's transition to peace. As the State Party has highlighted on several occasions, the Earth's most valuable treasures are not petroleum or gold, it is in biodiversity and in the tropical forests. Stopping deforestation is essential to reach both the Paris Agreement climate change goals and the Sustainable Development Goals. The State Party sends an important signal that forest protection is decisive to reach the climate targets. Norway is proud to support Colombia in building a prosperous and sustainable future that will safeguard its national treasures through the Norwegian Climate and Forest Initiative, and strongly encourage other state parties to contribute to the protection of the Amazon forest. Norway also commends the state parties' high political commitment towards protecting indigenous rights, including implementing legal frameworks, strengthening indigenous self-governance of the indigenous territories. Indigenous peoples are critical in protecting natural and cultural heritage and have historically been the forest's best guardians. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Spain, please.
Sí, gracias, Presidenta.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm taking the floor again along the same lines as what I said with the previous nomination. Here we are seeing an absolutely outstanding nomination, as you see in the file itself. And since a picture speaks 1,000 words, well, we've all had the chance to observe the breathtaking beauty of this place. We want to congratulate the State Party, as said by Norway, in all of its outstanding efforts to protect biodiversity, but also, as with the case of the excellent attitude of the State Party when it received a referral decision so that it could be later discussed in the committee to improve the nomination before it comes before the committee, and that way it could come in a perfect format before the committee. So congratulations to the State Party for submitting such an excellent file. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now Hungary, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hungary would like to congratulate the State Party for nominating Chiribiquete National Park to the World Heritage List, both on the basis of cultural and natural criteria. The property contains all the elements necessary for the expression of its outstanding universal value, and is of an appropriate size for the satisfactory preservation of the conditions of integrity. The nominated property is extremely large and provides space for ongoing natural processes and ecosystems. The rock art sites are authentic in terms of situation and setting, intangible culture, spirit and impression, materials, form and conception. The Hungarian delegation fully supports the inscription of Chiribiquete National Park as a mixed site on the World Heritage List. We wish the State Party a great success with the management of the property on the long term. In addition, the Hungarian delegation wishes all the best for the football team of Colombia during the upcoming days and weeks. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Brazil, please.
I wish I could say the same about Mexico, Madam Chair. Brazil believes the Serrania de Chiribiquete is one of the best examples of what one can call a site with outstanding universal values. Under criterion 3, the park is one of the best existing examples of pre-Columbian rock inscriptions in South America, and arguably the best such site in the whole Amazon basin, with pictographs as old as 20,000 years. Under criteria 9 and 10, Chiribiquete is one of the most complete and diverse ecotones in the northern portion of our subcontinent, which harbors a unique, varied and vast endemism with very few other parks that can be a par. The property is well preserved and has integrity of its own natural and cultural integrity. Brazil commends the Colombian government for the protective policies in place and for the safeguarding of the site attributes. Therefore, Brazil is of the opinion that the proposed site is more than fit to be inscribed in the World Heritage List. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Tunisia, please.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Tunisia should also like to congratulate the State Party for having put forward such an outstanding site and of breathtaking beauty, which everybody could appreciate when we looked at the file itself. Obviously, the OUV is clear, and the geographical processes are also very noteworthy, and we are pleased to see that the State Party is doing so much to safeguard and protect all of these attributes. So we congratulate them and look forward to seeing it inscribed.
Cuba, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I think it's very easy to fall in love with this amazing site with its clear OUV. Just like the previous speakers, we wanted to congratulate the State Party, encourage them to take due consideration of the recommendations put forward, and we look forward to inscribing it.
To Tanzania. Last one. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Tanzania commend the State Party for the effort to nominate the property, noting its unique ecotonic location associated with an extreme high endemism, which is of particular importance within the South American and the Guyana Shield. The property is also clearly endowed with the culture, values, and criteria 3. Madam Chair, while both cultural and the natural component of the nomination of this property are strongly justified, we take note of the potential threat related to the culture, right, and the livelihood of the voluntarily isolated indigenous peoples, which could potentially impact the OUV of the property. In this regard, we encourage the State Party of Colombia to strengthen the management condition of the property with respect to this concern. We support the draft decision to inscribe the property in the World Heritage List. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Our reporter, do you have any amendments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I did not receive amendments on this draft decision.
Thank you very much. I therefore declare draft decision 42, 8B, 12 adopted. On your behalf, I congratulate Colombia and I give them the floor.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We are happy. On behalf of the government of Colombia, we wanted to extend our thanks to the Kingdom of Bahrain for its hospitality and to congratulate all of you for all of the work that you're doing to preserve the memory and identity of your people. We want to extend our thanks to the Secretariat, to ICOMOS, IUCN, for having offered us so much support in preparing our nomination. We've had very frank and open, constructive and enriching dialogue. Our thanks also go to the committee for backing this inscription. We know that as a State Party of a convention, we do all face major challenges, but the national park at Chiribiquete is right in the heart of the Amazon forest. It is the largest national park in the country, and Chiribiquete is the first mixed property for Colombia, and we know all of the challenges that that involves. For that reason, the Ministries of the Environment and the Culture have both worked very hard together to prepare for this moment. Nearly 15 years have gone by since the indigenous peoples, academics, representatives of the government, and local community representatives from Guaviare and Caquetá in Colombia have worked on this. We wanted to extend a special recognition to José Manuel Santos, our president, who right from the outset of his tenure in office has done so much to advance protective measures for this site, which we think is of such importance for the peace process in Colombia. These two public institutions have been doing so much to continue that work, and the institution of anthropology would also like to make a mention. Thank you very much. Our heartfelt gratitude. I wanted just to say that Chiribiquete is now everybody's heritage, and it's right in the heart of the Amazon, and a striking example of nature and ancestral knowledge. We wanted to extend our thanks to all member states of UNESCO, and we wanted to launch a global call for the protection of the Amazon and the affirmation of guarantees for the survival of the local indigenous communities. In Carijones, Huitotos, Desanes, Nuncaca, and many other communities have enabled us to say that the jaguar and the anaconda and la galaganta spirits live on and need preserving. So thank you from Colombia, and thank you from the Latin American Caribbean region. And please remember that you have our assurance that everybody working on cultural heritage of humanity cultural and natural heritage of humanity will be doing their utmost to uphold this. We have a roadmap for research and protection and management of the site. We shall be applying all of the recommendations related thereto as consistently as possible, as our duty as having this inscribed on the list. When it comes to research and social dialogue, again, this is all in the name of peace, because now we have the chance to rise to the challenge of ensuring that Chiribiquete, as a World Heritage Site, can really rise to the challenge of living up to its historical and ancestral importance. Thank you very much.